Layla stares at her phone, her mother's voice still ringing in her ears. Baby, success means nothing if you're alone. The words land like stones in her chest, heavy and unforgiving. She's heard variations of this speech before, at Christmas, at Easter, during random Tuesday phone calls, but tonight, something inside her snaps. Before she can think, before she can measure the consequences, the lie slips out. Actually, Mama, I am seeing someone. The silence on the other end stretches for 3 heartbeats. Then her mother's shriek of joy nearly shatters her eardrum. Layla pulls the phone away, wincing, already regretting everything. But it's too late. The lie is alive now, breathing, growing, demanding to be fed with more lies. And her mother, sweet, persistent, impossibly hopeful Mrs. Mensa, is already planning their lives together. Oh, baby, I knew it. I just knew you'd find someone. What's his name? What does he do? Is he from Oklahoma City? How long have you been seeing each other? Why didn't you tell us sooner? Welcome to K Stories by Emma. Before we continue, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any story. Layla's mind races like a cornered animal. She crafts answers in real time, vague enough to sound mysterious, specific enough to sound real. His name is... We've been taking things slow, Mama. I didn't want to say anything until I was sure. It's a masterclass in deflection. She's built a career on reading people, anticipating questions, staying 3 steps ahead. Surely she can handle 1 phone call. Then her mother drops the trap. Your father and I are hosting a formal dinner next Saturday in New Orleans. Bring him. Zena's bringing her fiancé, Terrence. It's time we all celebrate as a family. The words hit like a physical blow. Next Saturday, 8 days. Bring him. Layla's throat closes. She manages something that sounds like agreement before her mother launches into menu planning, talking about her famous gumbo, about getting the good china out, about finally having both her daughters settled and happy. When the call finally ends, Layla sits in her pristine Oklahoma City apartment, surrounded by the evidence of her success. Awards on the wall from her business degree, perfectly organized bookshelves, minimalist furniture that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Everything in its place, everything controlled. And she's never felt more empty in her life. Her mother's words echo in the silence. Alone, alone, alone. Layla opens her calendar with shaking hands. The dinner is marked in neat, unforgiving letters. Family dinner, New Orleans, 6 p.m. 8 days away. She has no boyfriend, no prospects, no time. Her mind spirals through increasingly pathetic possibilities. Hire an actor, make an excuse about him being sick, fake an emergency at work. Each option feels more desperate than the last, each one guaranteed to unravel under her family's scrutiny, under Zena's scrutiny. She lies awake that night, staring at her ceiling, and that's when the horrifying realization hits. Zena will know. Her younger sister has always been able to read her like a book with large print. They grew up competing for everything: grades, achievements, their parents' pride. Zena's gotten good at watching for cracks in Layla's perfect facade. If she shows up with some obvious fake, Zena will sniff it out in minutes, and she'll enjoy exposing it. Layla's phone buzzes on her nightstand. She reaches for it, dreading another message from her mother. It's worse. Zena, Mama told me your news. Can't wait to meet him. Hope he's ready for the Mensa family treatment. The emoji she attaches to the message looks like a threat. Junwoo's voice cuts through Lila's mental fog. You wrote Toshika instead of Toshi. That's not like you. She blinks at the presentation draft on her screen. The Japanese character error stares back at her, a mistake she would never normally make. Heat crawls up her neck. In 3 years of working as Junwoo Park's personal assistant, she's never mixed up kanji characters, never sent documents with typos, never been anything less than flawless. Until now. I'll fix it immediately, she mutters, fingers already flying across the keyboard. It's day 3 since the phone call. Day 3 of the lie eating her alive from the inside out, and it's starting to show in ways she can't control. She forgets to order Junwoo's usual afternoon espresso, the double shot he drinks at exactly 3 p.m. every single day. When he asks about it, she stares at him blankly before scrambling to call the cafe downstairs. The barista sounds confused. Miss Mensa never forgets. Then she sends an email meant for a Tokyo investor to someone in Mumbai. The reply comes back within minutes. "I think you have the wrong recipient." Lila wants to sink through the floor. During a video conference with a Singapore tech firm, she zones out completely. One moment they're discussing market projections, the next she's staring at her own reflection in the dark window behind her monitor, seeing Zena's smirking emoji, hearing her mother's hopeful voice, watching 8 days shrink to 5. "Miss Mensa?" Someone on the call is speaking to her. "Could you repeat the question?" She has no idea what they asked. "I apologize. Could you run that by me one more time?" Junwoo's eyes are on her. She can feel his gaze like a physical weight. After the meeting ends, after the investors disconnect and the screen goes dark, he speaks quietly. "Layla, stay." The office empties around them. Assistants pack up their desks, the marketing team filters out, chattering about happy hour plans. Soon it's just the two of them in the executive suite, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Oklahoma City skyline as it shifts from gold to purple in the dying light. For the first time in 3 years of working together, Layla feels completely exposed under his gaze. Junwoo doesn't ask what's wrong. He simply waits, hands folded on his desk, patient as stone. That's his way, never pushing, never demanding, just creating space for truth to emerge. She tries to deflect. "Just tired. I'll be sharper tomorrow." He leans back in his chair, that unreadable expression settling over his features. "Layla, in 3 years, you've never been just tired. You once ran a board meeting with a 102-degree fever and no one noticed. What's actually wrong?" The kindness in his voice, unexpected, unguarded, cracks something in her. She thinks about lying again, crafting another professional excuse about stress or lack of sleep or personal matters she'd rather not discuss. But she's so tired of performing, so tired of holding everything together with nothing but willpower and pride. Before she can stop herself, she laughs, a bitter, exhausted sound that echoes in the empty office. "You want the truth? I lied to my family about having a boyfriend, and now they're expecting me to bring him to dinner in 5 days. I'm losing my mind over something this stupid." The silence that follows is deafening. The silence that follows her confession stretches so long, Layla wants to sink through the floor. She watches Junwoo's face for any reaction, amusement, judgment, dismissal, but his expression doesn't change. He sits perfectly still, processing her words like he would a business proposal. Then, quietly, "I'll do it." Layla is certain she misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" Junwoo stands, moves to the window, hands sliding into his pockets. His silhouette is sharp against the darkening sky. "I'll be your date to the dinner. Problem solved." She stares at his back, convinced this is some kind of test or joke. Maybe he's seeing if she'll actually take him up on it. Maybe he's waiting for her to laugh and say she was kidding. But when he turns around, his face is completely serious. Layla's immediate reaction is panic. "Mr. Park, I didn't mean—" He raises a hand, cutting her off gently. "You need someone presentable who can handle social pressure. I need—" He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "I could use a break from business dinners and networking events." This sounds refreshingly honest. Honest? The word comes out strangled. It's a lie. That's literally the opposite of honest. "The situation is a lie," he corrects, "but your need is real, your stress is real, and my offer to help is real." She tries every argument she can think of. It's inappropriate, he's her boss, her family will ask invasive questions about his background, his intentions, his entire life story. It's too much to ask of anyone, let alone someone who signs her paychecks. But Junwoo dismantles each objection with calm, methodical logic. "We work well together. We already know each other's communication styles. I've seen you handle hostile investors and demanding clients. You can certainly coach me through a family dinner." He pauses. "And I've been told I'm reasonably convincing when necessary." Lila laughs despite herself. "Reasonably convincing? You negotiate billion-dollar deals." Exactly. His slight smile is almost reassuring. Your family should be significantly easier than venture capitalists. She shakes her head, trying to find solid ground in this surreal conversation. Why would you even consider this? You don't owe me anything. Junwoo returns to his desk, sits down, and looks at her with an expression she can't quite read. Then he says something that stops her cold. My family has been pressuring me about marriage for 2 years. Every phone call, every holiday, every business trip back home. They have candidates lined up, appropriate matches from appropriate families. His jaw tightens slightly. I understand what it's like to perform for people who measure your worth by relationship status. Consider this mutually beneficial. The vulnerability in those words hits her harder than any business pitch he's ever delivered. For the first time, she sees past the composed billionaire exterior to the man underneath, the one who's also tired of expectations, also tired of defending his choices. He extends his hand across the desk. We have 5 days to prepare. Meet me at my penthouse tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. Bring details about your family. We'll build our story. Lila stares at his hand. It's elegant, steady, completely certain. If she shakes it, there's no going back. This stops being a mortifying confession and becomes an actual plan, a conspiracy, a performance that could either save her or blow up spectacularly in her face. Her phone buzzes in her pocket, probably her mother with another excited text about the dinner. Lila reaches across the desk and shakes his hand. Lila stands in the lobby of Junwoo's building, staring up at the residential tower that crowns his corporate empire. She's been to his office 1,000 times, delivered documents, attended meetings, coordinated schedules, but she's never been to his home. The elevator ride to the penthouse feels like ascending into another world, each floor number lighting up like a countdown to something she can't take back. The doors open directly into his space. No hallway, no neighbors, just his world. The penthouse is not what she expected. Minimalist, yes, but warm in ways his office isn't. Books line the shelves in both Korean and English, philosophy, history, fiction she wouldn't have guessed he reads. Art hangs on the walls that looks chosen for meaning rather than investment value. And the kitchen has actually been used. She can see it in the worn cutting board, the coffee maker that's not just for show. Junwoo greets her in casual clothes, dark slacks, a soft charcoal sweater that makes him look younger, more approachable. She realizes with a jolt that she's never seen him without a suit jacket, never seen him look this human. Thank you for coming, he says, gesturing to the dining table where he's already set out notepads and pens, ever the planner. Coffee? Tea? Water's fine. She needs to keep her head clear. They sit across from each other, and suddenly this feels more intimate than any business meeting ever has. Junwoo clicks his pen. How did we meet? Lila had prepared for this question during the entire drive over. Through work, you needed an assistant, I applied. We kept things professional until... She trails off, realizing she hasn't actually figured out the transition. Until what? His gaze is steady, waiting. She feels her face warm. Until we didn't. He writes something down. And when was that? When did professional become personal? 6 months ago? She phrases it like a question, testing how it sounds. We'd been working together for 2.5 years. It was gradual. We were careful about it. Didn't want office gossip. Smart, he's nodding, building the narrative in his mind. What changed 6 months ago? Lila improvises. Late night working on the merger proposal. You ordered dinner. We talked about things that weren't work, and something shifted. The lie sounds surprisingly believable. As they craft their timeline, secret dates, stolen moments, the careful dance of keeping a relationship quiet in a professional setting, the questions become personal. What do I need to know about your family? Junwoo asks. Lila describes them carefully. Her father, Vincent, quiet strength, a retired postal worker who still wakes at 5 a.m. out of habit. Her mother, Diane, warmth that can turn to judgment in a heartbeat, a woman who shows love through criticism disguised as concern. And Zina, 2 years younger, beautiful and magnetic with a competitive edge that's carved grooves into their relationship since childhood. And you, she asks, turning the question back, what should I know about yours? Junwoo's expression shifts, something guarded sliding into place like a door closing. They won't be there. We don't need a story for them. The avoidance tells Lila more than an answer would. She doesn't push, but she files it away. This brilliant, composed man has his own family wounds. They're both performing, both hiding behind carefully constructed walls. "What's something true I should know about you?" Junwoo asks, his pen still. "Something not in your employee file." The question feels dangerous. Lila freezes, caught between maintaining professional distance and the strange intimacy this situation demands. She settles on something small but real. "I'm terrified of disappointing people. That's why I lied to my mother in the first place." He nods slowly, understanding crossing his features. "I'm terrified of being ordinary. That's why I work the way I do." The confessions hang in the air between them, more honest than anything they've shared in 3 years. As Lila gathers her things to leave that night, Junwoo calls after her from the doorway. "Lila?" She turns, bag in hand. "We should probably practice." His slight smile is almost shy, uncertain in a way she's never seen him. "Practice what?" "Looking like we're in love. Your sister will be watching." "Touch my hand," Junwoo says. They're back in his penthouse 2 days before the dinner. Lila stares at his outstretched hand like it's a live wire. She's shaken his hand 1,000 times in professional settings, firm grips across desks, polite gestures after meetings. This is different. "We're supposed to be dating," he continues, voice matter of fact. "We need to look comfortable with physical contact." "Right. Comfortable." She reaches out, her fingers brushing his palm before their hands connect properly. His skin is warm, slightly calloused at the base of his fingers. She hadn't expected that. The practice sessions begin in earnest, standing close enough to feel each other's warmth, his hand at the small of her back as they move through his living room like they're at an imaginary party, her fingers touching his arm when she laughs at something he says, testing whether the gesture looks natural or forced. Each movement is choreographed, discussed, then attempted. It should feel clinical, like blocking a scene in a play. It doesn't. Junwoo explains as they work, "Your family will watch how we move around each other, whether we gravitate toward or away, whether touch seems natural or rehearsed." He demonstrates, stepping into her space without warning. His hand settles on her waist, confident but not possessive. Like this, not grabbing, just resting. Lila's breath catches. He's close enough that she can see the exact shade of brown in his eyes, darker than she realized, with flecks of amber near the center. She can smell his cologne, subtle and expensive, something warm with notes of cedar and bergamot. "How does that feel?" he asks quietly. She should say fine or good for practice or something equally professional and detached. Instead, the truth slips out in a whisper. "Dangerous." His expression flickers. Surprise, then something else she can't quite name. He doesn't step back. Dangerous how? She forces herself to be honest, because it doesn't feel fake. The admission hangs between them, heavy and electric. Junwoo's hand is still on her waist. His thumb moves, just slightly, an unconscious gesture that sends heat racing up her spine. "No," he agrees, voice low and rough around the edges. "It doesn't." They should step apart, establish distance. Remember, this is a transaction, a favor, a carefully constructed performance with a clear endpoint. They don't. Lila's hand comes up to his chest, ostensibly to push him away, to create the space they desperately need, but her fingers curl into the fabric of his sweater instead, holding on rather than letting go. "This is a terrible idea," she breathes. "Probably," he murmurs, and his free hand comes up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. The almost kiss stretches between them like a taut wire. His gaze drops to her mouth. She tilts her face up, drawn by gravity and want, and 3 years of professional distance finally, dangerously collapsing. Her phone erupts with Zena's ringtone. The spell breaks like shattered glass. They separate, both breathing too quickly, both looking anywhere except at each other. Lila fumbles for her phone, her hands shaking so badly she almost drops it. Hey sis, Zena's voice is sweet poison, dripping with false warmth. Just wanted to let you know, I did some research on successful relationships. Couples who've been together 6 months, they have stories, shared memories, inside jokes. Hope you and your mystery man are ready for questions. The threat is crystal clear. We'll be fine, Zena. I'm sure you will. The smile in her sister's voice is audible. Can't wait to meet him. After Lila hangs up, silence fills the penthouse. Junwoo's jaw is tight, his hands shoved into his pockets like he doesn't trust them. Then we make memories, he says finally. Where would we have gone on our first date? Junwoo asks over coffee the next morning, one day before the dinner. They're in his office, early, before the rest of the staff arrives. The building is quiet, just security and cleaning crews. Layla realizes with creeping panic that they've run out of time for theory. They need specifics, details, the kind of memories that come from actually living through moments together. I don't know, she admits. Dinner somewhere? A movie? Junwoo sets down his cup. Too generic. Your sister will ask follow-up questions. What restaurant? What did we eat? What movie? Did we like it? He's right, and she hates it. We need specifics we can both remember. Then he does something that catches her completely off guard. He opens his laptop and cancels every meeting on his calendar for the day. Let's actually do them. Compress timeline. Do what? Create our relationship history. Not by inventing it, by living it. An hour later, they're standing in a quiet art gallery in downtown Oklahoma City. Morning light filters through high windows, illuminating abstract pieces and contemporary installations. Junwoo walks slowly through the exhibits, hands clasped behind his back, studying each piece with genuine attention. What draws you to that one? He asks, noticing her lingering near a vibrant canvas of overlapping colors. Layla doesn't have a practiced answer ready. The layers, how the artist built it up over time, you can see the process underneath. What did you want to be before business school? The question comes out of nowhere. She turns to him. What? You said you studied business because it was practical. What would you have studied if practicality didn't matter? Art history, maybe. The admission feels vulnerable. I used to paint. His expression shifts, knowing, satisfied. I thought so. How could you possibly? He reaches for her right hand, turns it over gently, and points to the callus on her middle finger, the kind that comes from holding brushes for hours. I notice things. Lunch is at a small Louisiana Creole restaurant. Her choice. Junwoo studies the menu like it's written in code. When the waiter suggests boudin, he orders it without hesitation. Lila watches him take the first bite, sees his eyes widen slightly at the unfamiliar spices and texture. Thoughts? She asks, trying not to smile. Adventurous. He takes another bite, considering. Then he laughs, a real unguarded sound she's never heard in 3 years. If I embarrass myself at dinner tomorrow, you're responsible. She realizes something startling. This man who commands boardrooms and negotiates billion-dollar deals is letting himself be vulnerable with her. Evening settles over myriad botanical gardens as they walk the paths. The sun sets in streaks of orange and pink. Junwoo reaches for her hand without discussion this time, without asking permission. His palm is warm, steady, and she doesn't pull away. Tell me about Oklahoma, he says. Why you left, why you don't go back often. Lila talks about being the eldest daughter, carrying expectations like weighted stones, about how her ambition was praised and resented in equal measure, her father proud, her mother worried she'd end up alone, how Zena became the warm one, the family person, while Lila became the career woman, a label that always sounded like a diagnosis of something missing. Is that why you're afraid? Junwoo asks quietly. Not of disappointing them, of proving them right, that you chose ambition over connection. The accuracy cuts deep. She stops walking, forces herself to meet his eyes. You see too much. He turns to face her fully, his hand still holding hers. Only because I recognize it, I made the same choice. The understanding in his voice, the mirror of her own wounds, makes her chest ache. That night, alone in her apartment, Lila scrolls through the photos they took throughout the day, proof of their relationship for anyone who asks to see. But in every single one, the way they look at each other doesn't seem remotely fake. Her phone buzzes. Junwoo. Flight to New Orleans is at 10 a.m. I'll pick you up at 8. Try to sleep. Then, after a pause that she can almost feel through the screen, today was my favorite first date I've ever had. The plane touches down in New Orleans and Lila's phone explodes with messages. Her mother, "Can't wait to see you, baby. The house is ready." Her father, "Your mama's been cooking for 2 days straight. Hope you're hungry." And Xena, "We're already here. Mom and Dad love Terrence. He's perfect. You'll see." The gauntlet has been thrown. Junwoo drives the rental car while Lila narrates her childhood from the passenger seat, pointing out landmarks like a tour guide of her own past. The streets where she rode her bike until the streetlights came on. The church where she sang in the youth choir every Sunday, her voice blending with dozens of others. The library where she spent every Saturday, reading until the librarians gently told her it was closing time. He listens with complete attention, asking questions that reveal he's cataloging every detail. What did you read? Who taught you to ride a bike? Do you still sing? You're nervous, he observes as they turn onto a tree-lined street. She laughs, the sound brittle and sharp. Xena's already positioning, perfect Terrence. She's going to compare, contrast, interrogate until she finds a crack. Junwoo glances at her, his expression calm. Let her. I didn't come here to compete with anyone. I came here for you. The simple declaration steadies something inside her. They park outside the Mensa family home, a beautiful Creole cottage with a wraparound porch, flower boxes overflowing with vibrant color. Azaleas and jasmine compete for space. The house looks exactly like it did in Lila's childhood, like time decided to be gentle here. Lila's hands are shaking. She grips them together in her lap, trying to force steadiness through willpower alone. Junwoo reaches over, takes one of her hands in both of his. His touch is warm, grounding. Breathe. We've practiced. We know our story. He waits until she meets his eyes. And Lila, the only person's approval that matters is yours. Before she can respond, before she can process the weight of those words, the front door bursts open. Mrs. Mensa emerges like a force of nature, a beautiful woman in her late 50s, elegant in a flowing coral dress, arms already outstretched. Behind her, Mr. Mensa stands tall and distinguished, silver threading through his hair at the temples, watching with quiet assessment. And then Xena. Lila's younger sister is stunning in ways that photographs never quite capture. Same deep brown skin, but curves where Lila is lean. An easy smile that makes people want to confess their secrets. Warm energy that draws people in like gravity. On her arm, Terrence, polished in designer casual wear, clearly comfortable, clearly from money, clearly everything a parent could want. As they approach, Lila sees Xena's eyes go to Junwoo, the subtle widening, the flicker of surprise she can't quite hide. Whatever she expected, it wasn't this, wasn't him. Mrs. Mensa reaches them first, pulling Lila into a crushing hug that smells like shea butter and vanilla. Then she turns to Junwoo with open curiosity. "So, you're the man who finally caught my daughter's attention," she says, warmth and assessment blended in equal measure. Junwoo smiles, genuine, respectful, the perfect balance of confidence and humility. "Mrs. Mensa, the privilege is entirely mine. Your daughter is extraordinary." He says it with such quiet conviction that even Lila almost believes he means it. Then she remembers they're supposed to be in love. Mr. Mensa steps forward, extending his hand. Junwoo shakes it firmly, meeting the older man's eyes without flinching. Some silent assessment passes between them. As they're ushered inside, the house embracing them with the smell of gumbo and cornbread, Xena sidles up to Lila while Junwoo is charming their parents with observations about the neighborhood's architecture. "He's gorgeous," she whispers, her voice sweet as poisoned honey. "Too gorgeous, too polished, and showing up to a family dinner when we've never even heard his name before?" Her smile is warm, her eyes are knives. "This doesn't add up, sis." Lila forces steadiness into her voice. "Not everything needs to add up, Xena." "Of course not." Xena squeezes her arm, the gesture almost affectionate. "But don't worry, we have all evening to get to know him." The dining room table is a masterpiece. Mrs. Mensa's finest china, candles flickering in crystal holders, the smell of gumbo, jambalaya, cornbread, and pecan pie filling every corner of the house. But all Lila can focus on is the seating arrangement. Junwoo on her right, Xena directly across, watching like a hawk studying prey. Dinner starts with grace. Mr. Mensa's deep voice fills the room, blessing the food, the family, the gathering. Everyone bows their heads. Lila feels Junwoo's presence beside her, solid and steady. Then the questions begin. Gentle at first, almost casual. "So, how did you two meet?" Mrs. Mensa asks, serving gumbo with practiced grace. Junwoo fields it smoothly, his voice warm. "Through work. Lila's been my assistant for 3 years, but about 6 months ago, something shifted." He glances at Lila, and the look is so genuine it makes her chest tight. "She stayed late helping me prepare for a presentation. I looked up and realized I'd been watching her work for 20 minutes, completely distracted." Mrs. Mensa beams. Mr. Mensa nods approvingly, a slight smile touching his lips. Terrence, Zena's fiancé, chimes in with his own story about meeting Zena at a charity gala, how she'd been wearing emerald green, how he'd known immediately she was special. His teeth are perfect, his smile rehearsed. It's perfectly pleasant. It's absolutely a competition. Then Zena strikes, her voice honey sweet. "6 months is pretty serious. Have you met Lila's college friends, her sorority sisters?" It's a trap. Lila's college friends are scattered across the country, busy with their own lives. She hasn't kept in close touch with most of them. Before she can deflect or craft an excuse, Junwoo responds without hesitation. "Not yet. Lila's protective of her personal life. She wanted to be sure about us before bringing me into her whole world." He says it with such understanding, such patience, that Mrs. Mensa's expression softens immediately. That sounds like my Lila, always careful with her heart. But Zena isn't done. She leans forward slightly, candlelight catching in her eyes. "Speaking of hearts, what made you fall for her, specifically?" The table goes quiet. Even Terrence stops eating. Junwoo sets down his fork carefully, turns slightly toward Lila. His hand finds hers under the table, warm, steady, real. "Her mind first," he says. "The way she sees patterns others miss, solves problems before they fully form. But that's professional admiration." He pauses, and Lila's breath catches because the look in his eyes is too real, too unguarded, too much like the truth they've been dancing around for days. "I fell for her the night she stayed until 2 in the morning helping me rewrite a contract, then left a sticky note on my desk that said, 'You're welcome. Also, you need better coffee.' She was brilliant and human and unapologetically herself." His thumb strokes across her knuckles. "That's when I knew." Mrs. Mensa's eyes glisten. Mr. Mensa clears his throat, visibly moved. Even Terrence looks impressed, nodding like Junwoo just passed some unspoken test. But Zena's gaze sharpens like a blade finding an edge. "That's beautiful," she says slowly, each word measured. "Almost too perfect, like you've really thought about this." The air goes tense, Lila's pulse hammers. Junwoo meets Zena's stare calmly, unflinching. "I think about Lila constantly. Is that unusual for someone in love?" The question hangs there, a challenge wrapped in silk. Zena leans back in her chair, a small smile playing at her lips. "No, I suppose not." But her eyes promise this isn't over, not by a long shot. The conversation moves on, Mr. Mensa asking about Junwoo's business, Mrs. Mensa insisting everyone try the jambalaya, but the tension remains, coiled beneath the surface. After dinner, as the men move to the porch with Mr. Mensa and Terrence for what her father calls proper conversation, Mrs. Mensa pulls Lila aside in the kitchen. "He's wonderful, baby," she says quietly, washing dishes that don't need washing yet. But Zena has questions. She looks at her daughter with knowing eyes. "I think you two need to talk, sister to sister." The kitchen, Layla and Zena alone, the sounds of male laughter drifting from the porch. Zena rinses dishes in silence for a long moment, the water running, her movements methodical. Then, "You want to tell me what's really going on?" Layla's defenses slam up like steel doors. What are you talking about? Zena turns off the faucet, drying her hands slowly on a dish towel. Come on, Layla, it's me. 6 months and we've never heard about him? No social media posts, no casual mentions, nothing? She folds the towel with precise edges. And suddenly he's perfect, attentive, saying all the right things? Layla forces steadiness into her voice. Maybe I wanted to keep something private for once. Not everything has to be public, Zena. But her sister steps closer, voice dropping to something almost gentle. I'm not the enemy here, I'm your sister, and I know when you're hiding something. The accusation stings because it's partially true. Layla's hands grip the counter edge, knuckles tight. Why do you care? You have Terrence, you have your perfect engagement, your perfect life. Why can't I have something without you picking it apart? Zena's expression flickers, hurt flashing across her features, then anger replacing it. Is that what you think? That I'm trying to ruin this for you? She laughs, sharp and bitter. I'm trying to protect you because if this is fake, if you're lying to mom and dad just to get them off your back, it's going to blow up spectacularly, and it'll hurt them and you. Before Layla can respond, before she can defend or deny or deflect, the kitchen door swings open. Junwoo enters, reading the tension immediately in the set of their shoulders, the space between them. Everything all right? Zena looks between them, her investigator's gaze sharp. Actually, I was just asking Layla about your family. You haven't mentioned them all evening. Will we be meeting them soon? It's a direct hit, calculated and precise. Junwoo's expression goes carefully blank, that professional mask sliding into place. My family situation is complicated. They're not part of my life currently. Zena presses forward, sensing weakness. How complicated? And Lila sees it, the flash of real pain in his eyes, raw and unguarded for just a fraction of a second before he shudders it away. Zena, stop. Lila's voice cuts through the kitchen like a blade. She moves to Junwoo's side without thinking, just reacting to the need to protect him from this interrogation. His family is his business, just like mine was mine when I didn't want to talk about them. Back off. The sisters stare at each other across 3 feet of kitchen tile that might as well be a canyon. Then Zena's expression shifts, surprised, reassessing, like she's seeing something she didn't expect. She's never seen Lila defend someone like this. Fierce, protective, immediate, with no calculation or hesitation. Okay, she says quietly, hands raised in surrender. Okay. But as she leaves the kitchen, she glances back once more. Her expression isn't suspicious now, it's thoughtful, considering, like she's solving a puzzle that just revealed an unexpected piece. Alone with Junwoo, Lila realizes her hand is still on his arm, protective, possessive. The awareness floods through her like heat. You didn't have to do that, he says softly, his voice rough around the edges. Neither did you, earlier, the way you talked about me. They're standing too close again, the kitchen suddenly too small, too warm. His hand comes up slowly, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear with devastating gentleness. What if I meant it? He asks, his voice barely above a whisper. The question hangs between them, dangerous and thrilling and impossible to ignore. The kitchen door swings open again, Mrs. Mensah, bright and oblivious, calling them for dessert. Come on, you two, the pecan pie is fresh out of the oven. The moment shatters like dropped glass, but the question remains, unanswered and urgent, burning between them as they follow Mrs. Mensah back to the dining room. Midnight. The house is quiet. Layla lies in her childhood bedroom, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars she stuck to the ceiling at age 12. They're faded now, barely visible, but she knows exactly where each constellation sits. Down the hall, Junwoo is in the guest room. She should be sleeping. Instead, she's replaying every moment, every look, every touch that felt too real. A soft knock at her door. Layla's heart jumps into her throat. Come in. Junwoo enters, still dressed in his slacks and button-down, looking as sleepless as she feels. I saw your light, he says quietly. Thought you might be awake. He sits in the chair by her window, maintaining respectful distance even now. Can't sleep either? No. They talk in whispers, conscious of the sleeping house around them, about the dinner, the way her parents welcomed him, Zena's interrogation, the exhausting weight of performance. Then Junwoo says, "I'm sorry about my family. The question caught me off guard." Layla sits up, pulling her knees to her chest. "You don't have to explain." But he does anyway. He tells her about parents who valued legacy over love, who saw his ambition as admirable but his independence as betrayal. When he built his company his way, refused the matches they arranged, chose his own path, they cut contact. Clean. Final. Absolute. 3 years, he says, voice hollow. They haven't spoken to me in 3 years. So when your mother hugged me tonight, when your father asked about my work with genuine interest, he stops, swallows hard. I didn't expect it to hurt this much, to see what I'm missing. Layla's chest tightens with an ache she recognizes. She moves from the bed without thinking, kneeling in front of his chair, her hands settling on his knees. Junwoo. His hand covers hers, warm and solid. This is the most real thing I've felt in years, Lila. This fake relationship, these borrowed moments with your family. He pauses, his eyes finding hers in the dim light. You. She should pull away. This is dangerous territory, blurring lines they agreed to keep clear, crossing boundaries that protect them both. But his thumb is tracing slow circles on her wrist, and she's leaning closer without meaning to. And his other hand comes up to cup her face with devastating gentleness. "Tell me to leave," he whispers. "Tell me this is just the performance talking." "I can't," she breathes, "because I don't know anymore." His forehead drops to hers. They're breathing the same air, hearts hammering in sync. "Lila, if I kiss you right now, it won't be for your family. It won't be for show." His voice is rough, strained with restraint. "It'll be because I've been wanting to since the moment you confessed your lie in my office." She closes the distance. The kiss is slow, searching, achingly tender. His hand slides into her hair, tilting her face to deepen the connection. Her hands grip his shoulders, anchoring herself to something solid as the world tilts sideways. For long moments, there's nothing but sensation. The warmth of his mouth, the catch of his breath, the way he kisses her like she's precious, like he's been starving for this. When they finally break apart, both trembling, reality crashes back like cold water. "We can't," Lila whispers, even as her hands refuse to release him. "I work for you. This complicates everything." Junwoo's eyes are dark, intense, burning with something that makes her stomach flip. Then let it be complicated. A sound in the hallway, footsteps on hardwood. They freeze, caught. Someone's awake. Junwoo quickly moves back to the chair, creating respectable distance just as a shadow passes by Lila's door. They wait, barely breathing, until the footsteps fade toward the bathroom. When he finally leaves her room minutes later, moving like a ghost through the quiet house, Lila touches her lips, still feeling the ghost of his kiss. Everything just changed. Breakfast is tense. Lila barely slept, maybe 2 hours of fractured rest, replaying the kiss, the whispered confessions, the weight of his hand in her hair. Junwoo looks similarly restless, shadows under his eyes he can't quite hide behind his coffee cup. Across the table, Zena watches them with new eyes, not suspicious now, but curious, almost knowing. "You two look tired," she observes, spreading jam on her toast. "Hope the guest arrangements were comfortable." "Very comfortable," Junwoo replies smoothly. "Your parents are wonderful hosts." Mrs. Mensa beams, setting down a platter of scrambled eggs. "I'm so glad because we have a full day ahead," she announces the plans. The family is attending services at their longtime church, then a garden party at a family friend's estate in the afternoon. "I want to show you both off," she says warmly, squeezing Lila's shoulder. Lila's stomach drops. More performance, more pretending. Except after last night, she doesn't know what's pretense anymore. At church, Junwoo experiences Southern Black worship for the first time. The music swells, voices raised in harmony, the organ thundering, hands clapping in rhythm. The energy is electric, communal, alive in ways he's clearly never experienced. Lila watches him take it in, sees the moment he's genuinely moved by the choir's rendition of Amazing Grace, the way her mother introduces him to everyone with such pride. He fits in ways she didn't anticipate, comfortable despite being the only Korean face in the room. During a quiet moment in the church garden, waiting for the service to start, Lila confronts what she's feeling. Last night, she begins, keeping her voice low. Junwoo turns to her, his expression open. Was real, for me at least. The honesty in his voice steadies something inside her. For me too, but I don't know what to do with that. He takes her hand, bold in the daylight now, not hiding. Let's just be honest about what we feel. When this is over, when we're back in Oklahoma City, we'll figure it out. It's not a solution, but it's something. A promise that this doesn't end when they leave New Orleans. At the garden party, Terrence pulls Junwoo aside for what he calls man talk, leaving Layla with Xena under a magnolia tree. Her sister is quieter than usual, thoughtful, sipping lemonade and watching couples drift across the lawn. Finally, "He loves you. You know that, right?" Layla's breath catches. "We've only been together 6 months." Xena shakes her head, cutting her off. "Real time doesn't matter. I see the way he looks at you, like you're the only person in the room, like losing you would break him." Layla can't speak, her throat suddenly tight. Xena continues, softer now. "I was jealous. Your success, your independence, and now this man who's clearly all in for you. I thought you had everything, while I was trying to prove I wasn't just the other daughter." She pauses, vulnerable in a way Layla hasn't seen in years. "But Terrence and we're good, we're solid. But what you have with Junwoo, that's rare." "Xena, I have to tell you something." The confession rises in Layla's throat. The truth about the lie, about how this started, about the desperation that brought them here. But before she can speak, Xena hugs her tight, fierce and sudden. "I don't have to explain anything. I'm sorry I pushed. I just wanted to make sure you were happy. And you are. I can see it." The truth dies unspoken. Because maybe Xena's right about what matters. Not how it started, but what it's become. That evening, back at the house, Mr. Mensah asks to speak with Junwoo privately. Layla's heart stops. Whatever her father wants to discuss, it's serious. Through the study door, she hears her father's low voice. "I need to know your intentions with my daughter are honorable." The conversation is too muffled to hear more. 20 minutes pass like hours. When they emerge, both men look solemn, expressions unreadable. Junwoo catches Layla's eye across the room. Something significant just happened. Their last night in New Orleans. Tomorrow they fly back to Oklahoma City, back to real life, back to boss and assistant. Lila sits on the porch swing with Junwoo, the heavy Louisiana air thick with jasmine and unspoken words. Cicadas sing in the darkness. "Your father asked me about my intentions," Junwoo says, finally, breaking the silence. Lila's chest tightens. "What did you tell him?" Junwoo turns to face her fully, the porch light casting shadows across his features. "I told him the truth, that I came here expecting to play a role, and instead I found something I didn't know I was looking for, that you've changed my understanding of what matters." He takes her hand, threading their fingers together like it's the most natural thing in the world. "Your father said something that stuck with me. He said, 'A man who truly loves my daughter won't make her choose between her dreams and her heart. He'll make room for both.'" Lila feels tears prick her eyes, hot and unexpected. "I've spent so long believing I had to choose, career or love, success or family, like I couldn't have both without one suffering." Junwoo's thumb strokes across her knuckles, slow and steady. "What if that's not true? What if we both stop performing, for our families, for society, for ourselves, and just try?" The vulnerability in his voice undoes her completely. "I'm scared," she admits, the words barely a whisper, "of this being temporary, of it changing our work dynamic, of losing what we have if the personal falls apart." He nods, understanding written across his face. "I'm scared too, of not being enough, of my family wounds affecting us, of repeating patterns I swore I'd break." The porch swing creaks gently beneath them. "But I'm more scared of walking away," he continues, his voice gaining strength, "and spending the rest of my life wondering what we could have been." His hand comes up to her face, cradling her cheek with devastating tenderness. "Layla, this started as pretend, but the way I feel about you, the way I want to build something real with you, that's not performance. That's the most honest thing in my life." Layla kisses him, not the tentative exploration of their first kiss, but something claiming, certain, full of promise. His arms wrap around her, pulling her close as the porch swing rocks gently beneath their weight. When they break apart, breathless and smiling, she whispers against his lips, "Okay, let's try. Let's be messy and complicated and real." His smile is brilliant, unguarded joy she's never seen before. "Real," he echoes, like he's tasting the word. "I can do real." They kiss again, slower this time, savoring every moment. The night wraps around them, private and infinite, the rest of the world fading to nothing. Inside, through the window, Mrs. Mensa watches them with a knowing smile. She turns to Mr. Mensa, who's reading the newspaper in his favorite chair. "That's not pretend, baby. That's the real thing." Mr. Mensa chuckles, setting down his paper. "I know. That boy spent 20 minutes promising me he'd cherish our daughter. No one rehearses that kind of sincerity." Mrs. Mensa's smile widens, her eyes still on the couple outside. "Think we'll be planning another wedding soon?" "Wouldn't surprise me one bit." Through the window, Junwoo and Layla remain entwined on the swing, building their real beginning from what started as a beautiful lie. 3 months later, Oklahoma City. Layla sits in Junwoo's office. Their dynamic shifted, but not broken. She's still his assistant, but now she's also the woman who has a toothbrush in his penthouse bathroom, whose laugh echoes through his previously silent home. A video call with Mrs. Mensa. Her mother's face fills the screen, excited and glowing. "Baby, your father and I are planning a visit next month. We want to see where you live, meet Junwoo's colleagues, really see your life." Layla's stomach flips. The last time her family saw them, they were still performing. Now it's real, but will it look different? Will her mother notice the shift? After the call, Junwoo enters with coffee. "I heard. Your parents are coming." He doesn't look worried. "Good. I want them to see us, the real us, not the version we created for dinner." Layla sets down her phone. What if the real version disappoints them? What if we're less impressive when we're not trying? Junwoo crosses to her, tilts her chin up gently. "Layla, you've never been impressive because you tried. You're impressive because of who you are. Brilliant, fierce, kind even when you're scared. Your parents will see that, just like I do, every single day." She realizes he's right. They've spent 3 months being authentically themselves, arguing about work deadlines, cooking terrible dinners together, navigating the complicated boundaries between professional and personal. It's been messy, complicated, real, and it's been the happiest she's ever been. A knock at the office door. Zena enters, surprising them both. She's in town for a conference, she explains, and wanted to stop by. As Layla shows her around, Zena observes everything. The easy way Layla and Junwoo move around each other, the inside jokes, the comfortable silences that speak volumes. Later, over lunch, Zena says, "I owe you an apology. At the dinner, I thought you were lying. I was so focused on catching you in something fake that I almost missed something real." Layla squeezes her sister's hand. "You were protecting me. I can't be angry about that." Zena smiles. "For what it's worth, you two are disgustingly perfect together. Terrence and I fight about whose turn it is to take out the trash. You two probably have color-coded schedules and synchronized coffee breaks." Lila laughs. We fight, trust me. Last week we had a 20-minute argument about whether his working at 2 in the morning was dedication or avoidance. Zena's eyes light up. And? And we're both right, which is annoying. As they walk Zena out, she turns at the elevator. Hey, Lila, that thing you were going to confess to me at the garden party about how this started? Lila freezes. Zena smiles knowingly. I figured it out. The timeline was too convenient, the story too polished. You asked him to pretend, didn't you? Lila can't speak. Zena continues. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter how it started. What matters is what you built from it. You took something fake and made it the realest thing I've ever seen. She hugs Lila tight. That takes courage, sis. Be proud. That night, in Jun Woo's penthouse, Lila tells Zena about her revelation. He listens, then asks, Does it bother you that people might know it started as pretend? She considers. No, because we didn't lie about what matters. The connection was real. The feelings were real. We just needed an excuse to explore them. Jun Woo pulls her close, his arms secure around her. Best excuse I ever accepted. They stand there, the Oklahoma City skyline glittering beyond the windows, and Lila realizes she's not afraid anymore. Not of disappointing her family, not of vulnerability, not of the messy, beautiful reality of love. Her phone buzzes, a text from her mother with a photo from the dinner 3 months ago. In it, Jun Woo is looking at Lila like she hung the moon, and Lila is laughing, unguarded and radiant. The caption reads, I knew from this moment. A mother always knows. So happy for you both. Lila shows Jun Woo the photo. He studies it, then looks at her with that same expression, the one that says she's his whole world. Do you want to know a secret? He murmurs. I fell for you long before you asked me to pretend. That night in the office, when you confessed about the lie, I volunteered because I'd been looking for an excuse to get closer to you for months. I just didn't think you'd ever see me as anything but your boss. And now? She whispers. He kisses her forehead, her cheeks, finally her lips, tender and claiming. Now you're my favorite truth I ever told. Outside, the city lights blur into stars. Inside, 2 people who started with a lie have built something achingly, beautifully real. The end. Thank you for joining K-Stories by Emma for this incredible journey. If you loved this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means everything. Until next time, believe in love, fight for what matters, and never give up on redemption. This is Emma, signing off.